Yo, what is up everybody? Jumpin here, and today I wanted to talk a little bit about Obamacare and give you my take on it. Now, the first thing I guess I'll say is that it's actually called the Affordable Care Act, but nobody calls it that. Everybody calls it Obamacare. I think the only people who actually call it the Affordable Care Act is Obama and his administration. Everyone else says Obamacare, so what the hell? I'm calling it Obamacare. Alright guys, so this whole thing has been a major disaster from day one. When that website came out, oh man, was that just comedy. So many bugs, so many glitches, and a lot of upset people because there was a lot of people that went on that site trying to get healthcare and they just couldn't do it. Like, they were very upset with a lot of wasted time. Because people only have so much patience, and I know that website, I didn't go on the site, but I know that if you would have went on that site and you were really serious and you were determined and you couldn't do it, I'm sure you would walk away, well, feeling pretty bad. So, it sucked. Let's just put it that way. Now, I don't really want to talk much about the website. I want to really just get into Obamacare and break it down and explain why I personally feel like it's not going to work. And the reason why it's not going to work is because the government doesn't understand how insurance works in the first place. So that's what I will be talking about. Now, the first thing you need to know is, what is insurance? Insurance is really all about the what ifs. What if I die and my family will maybe need to be taken care of? Well, you have life insurance for that. What if I get really sick? You have health insurance. Or what if I get hit by a bus? You have health insurance. What if my house burns down? Well, you can get fire insurance. And what if a flood comes and it destroys my house or something? You can have flood insurance. So there's a lot of insurance out there that you can get, but it's all about the what ifs, because trust me, the insurance companies, they don't want any of that happening to you. They want you to have the insurance just in case, but in a perfect world, it would never happen to you. And in fact, I would imagine most people would say, I don't want it to happen to me. I'll get the insurance just in case, but I don't want a fire to come and destroy my house. I don't want a flood to destroy my house. I don't want to have a heart attack. I don't want cancer. I don't want to die. That's the truth behind it. You don't want these things, and the insurance companies, they sure the hell don't want these things either, because when you do get sick, or when your house does burn down, they have to pay for it. Now, one thing you have to understand as well is, what does insurance companies do with your money? You pay an insurance company once a month a certain amount of money. But the question is, what do they do with it? Well, it's quite simple. They take your money and they invest it. And they do this, over and over again. And they try to build a portfolio for you so that if, just in case one day something does happen, let's say you get sick or your house burns down, well, the idea is that you will have built up money through your investments and your portfolio that it will pay for itself. Banks do the same thing. You give a bank money, or you deposit the money or whatever, and they take your money and they invest it, they loan it out. That's how you get capital investments, and it's very important to an economy. And yeah, the banks make money doing this. Well, insurance companies, that's how they make their money. You pay them the money, they invest it, they make money. Now that we know what insurance is, we're going to have some fun, because I'm going to be breaking down the evil, which is Obamacare. One of the biggest issues that I have with Obamacare is that it's the worst of two worlds. Now, some people might argue with me about socialized medicine, and they'll say socialized medicine is great, it's fantastic. And honestly, I am willing to say I would accept socialized medicine. I would accept 100% socialized medicine. Because to me, I want to go all in on one system. Let's either go all in on socialized medicine, or let's go all in on free market medicine. Obamacare is not 100% socialized medicine, but it's also not 100% free market medicine. Now you might say, well, wait a minute, Jumpin. The system we had before was free market medicine, and look at that disaster. And I would say, no, it was not, because it was not free market medicine. See, government was involved there. Government was subsidizing medicine. And just like with college, if government subsidizes it, the price is going to be outrageous. Reason why is because companies can basically say, well, we need this much. And government will say, okay. And that is not the free market. In a free market system, there is no government whatsoever. There's no government involved at all. In this system, the customers decide the price. And the way they do this is because they get to decide who will stay in business and who will go out of business. Good example of this is, let's say you have one company selling a product, and that company is selling that product at a high price. Well, then you have another company that comes along selling the same product at a lower price. Well, people are going to generally, or well, not generally, always choose the lower price. That's what they want. That's the market. This is why Walmart is so popular. People love low prices. Now, some people might argue with me that it's the technology. The technology is so advanced in healthcare that the price is driven up because of the technology. But that makes absolutely no sense. When you look at anything else that deals with technology, the prices always come down. Now think about this for a second. The original cell phone, DVD player, and computers were all very expensive when they first came out. No one could afford them. Only the very rich could afford to buy these items. They were that expensive. But as time went on and the technology got better, and by the way, the quality improved, prices came down, and more people were able to buy these items. And look at it today. Now poor people can afford to buy cell phones and computers. It's just the way technology works. Prices will always come down. And trust me, these companies are making a lot more money today than they were back in the day when only the rich could afford to buy these items. So Obamacare is not a free market system, and it's not a socialized system. It is the combined evil of the two. It's big government with big business. Now what is that called? Oh yeah, fascism. It is a fascist system. And by the way, that's pretty much what America is right now when you think about it. There's so many industries that is big government, big business. Then of course you have Wall Street, influence over government with money, lobbyists. Most people hate these things. Well, that's fascism, guys. That's exactly how it works. But that is a subject for another video. And I would be willing to make a video like that, talking about these things, about capitalism, corporatism, fascism, socialism, whatever you might want to know about. I don't really care. So I am willing to make that video, but I don't want to spend any more time on it. So let's go ahead and get into the real discussion here. Why Obamacare is not going to work. The biggest problem with Obamacare is that the government doesn't understand how insurance works. Remember that what if factor I talked about? Well, that's pretty much out the window now. The what if doesn't matter when it comes to healthcare. And this is a big issue. Because what you have to understand is that when you're talking about healthcare, the young and the healthy pays for the old and the sick. It's the way it works. If you're older and you're sick, you're going to want health insurance. You need it. When you're young and you're healthy, you don't really need it. I mean, yeah, there's a possibility that you might get hit by a car or something bad could happen, or it could be really rare, but you could come down with a disease, maybe cancer at a young age. But for the most part, when you're young, you do not need to buy health insurance. And this poses the biggest problem with Obamacare. What they did was they made it so insurance companies can no longer discriminate against you. Meaning that if you're sick, you can get the insurance. And if you're healthy, there's no reason to buy the insurance. So that's my best advice to you if you're young. Do not buy it. It's a raw deal. You're going to be paying for the insurance. There's no need. The only reason why you're paying into the system is so that the insurance companies can pay for the older and sicker people. So if you're young and you're healthy, you can just not pay it. And guess what? You'll have to pay a fine. But the fine is nothing. It's less than $100. Pay that. You save a lot of money. I mean, clearly, when you actually consider how much you might need to pay with Obamacare, it's quite a difference. So pay the fine. Do not get the insurance. And if you feel like you really need to see a doctor, let's say you mess up your leg or your back, or, hey, you just feel really sick and you think you really need to go to the doctor, well, you can get the insurance. And the insurance companies cannot discriminate against you. So then you can go and see your doctor, get it all sorted out, have the insurance companies pay for it, and guess what? Get rid of the insurance. You don't need it anymore. You've seen the doctor. You're done for a while. So this is a big, big issue. Now, imagine this. You want fire insurance. Okay, so you get fire insurance, and you pay for it, and you pay for it, and then, unlucky you, your house catches fire, it burns down, you call up the insurance company, they come out, they check it out, and they pay you because you had fire insurance. Now, let's flip it like Obamacare. This time, you don't have fire insurance because you don't want to pay it. You don't want to pay the bill for the insurance. But your house does burn down. And you're like, oh crap, what am I going to do now? So you call up the fire insurance company and you say, hey, I want fire insurance. They come out, they check it out, and your house is burnt down. And you tell them, well, you can't discriminate against me. You have to give me fire insurance. And guess what? They have to, right? So they give you the fire insurance, they pay for your house, and then you stop paying for the fire insurance. And you never need it again until your house burns down again. Insurance does not work like this. You can't have your house burn down and then call up the fire insurance company. You can't be standing in 6 feet of water calling up the flood insurance company. You can't wait until your loved one dies and then call up the life insurance company. Insurance does not work like this. But with Obamacare, this is exactly how health insurance works. So, my advice to you, like I said, if you're young and you're healthy and you don't see yourself getting sick anytime soon, do not buy the insurance. And when enough young people wise up to this fact, we're going to see a lot of problems with insurance companies. Trust me. Because the only people who are going to really want insurance are going to be the people who are sick. And guess what? They can't pay for all those people. So the insurance companies are going to lose a lot of money. And they're going to also have to jack up their premiums, making people pay more. So that's going to be a big problem too for a lot of people. And because they can't make their money, they're going to be facing collapse. Because one thing I need to mention is that it wasn't just the government writing this law. The insurance companies were right there too. They were helping the government write the law. Now there were some things the government wanted, like the fact that you can't discriminate. I'm sure the insurance companies were like, yo, hey, we can't do that now. And the government was like, well, we need to do this. This is so important. We have to sell it like this. Because that was a big selling point. If you want health insurance, with Obamacare, the insurance companies can't discriminate against you. I mean, that sounds so good, right? Ooh. People don't get it, but, you know, it sounds good from a politician, but it doesn't really work. I'm sure the insurance companies were smart enough to tell the politicians and the government that you can't do that. So what did the government promise the insurance companies, just in case, as a safety guard? Well, if they lose money because of Obamacare, they will receive bailouts. They will be bailed out by the government. So more bailouts, and everybody loves bailouts, right? You got your people on the left, and we all know they love big business. You know, big business, care about the little guy, so not greedy. They love to help people. That is what big business is all about, right? So the people on the left, they love big business. So let's give them bailouts, and then, you know, hey, maybe they'll put a couple of the millions in their pocket, but, you know, it's It's whatever, we don't mind. It's not a big problem whatsoever. Then you have your people on the right, and they love big government. They love paying more taxes, and they love paying for these bailouts. So basically, everyone wins, right? Wrong! Everyone loses, because that is the complete alternate reality of the universe right there. People on the right hate government. They hate paying more taxes, and they cannot stand it when government does stupid shit like bailouts. Then you got your people on the left who hate big business. They think big business is nothing but greedy bastards, like with the bailouts before. And this will be the same deal when you're talking about insurance companies. So everyone loses. Only people who will win is going to be those insurance companies, because guess what? They're gonna lose money. They have every incentive in the world to lose, because they can't lose. See, they're too big to fail now. So, Obamacare has a lot of problems. And one of the biggest issues, in my opinion, is this bailout idea. I don't like bailouts. I'm totally against bailouts. And just the idea that insurance companies can get bailouts if they can't make money, that scares the shit out of me. Because that tells me that now they have all the reason in the world to not make money, because they want those bailouts, right? So I think that this system will not last. The reason why is because right now young people do not need health insurance. If you're young and you're healthy, you do not need it. It's a raw deal. Why pay all that money each month for health insurance when you could just pay the fine at the end, which is very small? And I think that fine will gradually increase, but I think the cap right now is $750. Even with the $750, once it gets to that level, it's still going to be a lot cheaper to pay that than it will be to actually pay for insurance for 12 months out of a year. So it's a raw deal, like I said. Now, one thing that I guess they could do, they could raise the fine to be ridiculous. And if they did that, then yes, maybe insurance will be worth it because the fine is going to be so outrageous. But then again, if you don't pay the fine, what happens? Can they throw you in jail? I remember that Fox News was saying this, but that turned out to be a lie. So I'll just have the fine, right? Like, if they can't really throw me in jail and they can't really do anything against me, if that's not a part of it, then I'll just have the fine and I'll just never pay the fine. Who knows? Now, there's two final points I wanted to make about Obamacare. One is about how prices in healthcare are going to rise and not fall. And the other one is going to be about how Obamacare has affected our economy in a very negative way. And this has already happened, but this will continue to happen. I guess I'll start there. Alright, so there's two requirements in Obamacare that may have affected you if you work in the service sector. Now, when I say service sector, what I mean is restaurants, retail, you know, the low-end jobs. I don't want to say shitty jobs, but yeah, I guess most people would refer to service sector jobs as shitty jobs. We're not talking about good jobs here. We're talking about the low-end, low-skill jobs that a lot of people have. Well, what has happened? Well, there's these two requirements. One is that if you're an employer and you employ over 50 people, you have to provide all your employees with health insurance. So let's say an employer had 55 workers. And now you have Obamacare that says that if you have over 50, you have to provide everyone with health insurance. What do you think happened? Well, they fired some people. So some people lost their jobs because of this. Alright, now the other requirement is that if you're working full-time, your employer has to provide you with health insurance. So what do you think that these employers did in the service sector? They cut hours. They put all their workers to part-time. There's been a massive increase over the past year in part-time jobs. And the White House denies this. They say that this has nothing to do with the Affordable Care Act, which, yeah, right. But this is exactly what is going on. I mean, you can literally ask the restaurant owners, and most of them would say, oh, it's Obamacare. That's the reason why I have cut the hours of my workers to not meet that requirement. So like I said, this is pretty devastating, especially on young people who might work in the service sector and older people too who did. Because think of it like this. If you were working one of these jobs trying to make ends meet, which is pretty tough in the service sector, and you get your hours cut, you had full-time, now you're working part-time, you might have to get two jobs. Two part-time jobs just to basically make what you were making before. It's pretty bad, right? Now, if you're talking about good jobs, like, the more high-end jobs, there's no reason to even mention that because most of those people were already getting health insurance. So this doesn't really affect them. We're talking about service sector. We're talking about the low end. And the low end has been affected by this. So this has definitely had an effect on our economy. Alright, so now that you know about what has happened in the service sector of people getting their hours cut and other people just outright losing their jobs because of Obamacare, now let's go ahead and talk about how Obamacare is going to make healthcare go up in price and not down in price. But this is not a new trend. Like, Obamacare will make this happen, yes, but this has been going on in healthcare for a long time because of subsidies in healthcare, like with Medicaid and Medicare. They have had healthcare increase in price. Remember, the whole technology argument, I don't buy that, because if you look at anything else that deals with technology, the price always comes down. When you're talking about government and technology, that's a different story. Price always goes up. Well, that's the subsidies. That's the only reason. Let me give you guys a great example of something that is going to go up in price because of Obamacare. Now, I guess I can point at any number of things because a lot of things are going to go up in price, but there's one that I can think of right now that I can promise you will go up in price without a shred of doubt in my mind, and that is contraceptions. All contraceptions are going to go up in price. Reason why is because with Obamacare, contraceptions are now free. At least that's what they say, it's free. But there is no such thing of anything being free. There is no free lunch. Everything will be paid for. Trust me. So the question is, who's going to be paying for it? Well, to me, it's quite obvious. The employers are going to be paying for it. So now let's say that you're a female and you have a job and you're getting health insurance from your work. Now you're going to be getting free contraceptions. Now maybe you don't even really care, or you didn't really even want it in the first place, but now it has to be provided for you. Well, the employer will have to pay for it. So that means that if you're a female, the cost of your labor is going up. And if the cost of your labor goes up enough, first of all, it's going to make you less competitive for jobs because employers have to pay you more now, and they're not going to want to do that. So instead, it'd be less of a headache and also cheaper to hire men. So this will potentially cause more discrimination, which I'm sure we don't want, but I could do a whole video about discrimination in the workplace and how we need to get rid of affirmative action because it does the complete opposite of what it's supposed to do, which is eliminate discrimination. It causes discrimination. So I can explain the whole thing. But that's another video if you guys want it. So female workers are now going to have to take a pay cut because if they're getting something for free, but the employer is going to have to be the one paying for it, well, if the cost of their labor goes up, let's say you're a female employee and I'm your employer, and now the cost of your labor went up and you're not turning me a profit anymore, well, guess what? Why are you working for me? The only reason why you have a job is because you're making someone money. That's the way it works. You are turning a profit for someone else. If the cost of your labor is increased to the point at which you're no longer a profit, there's no longer a reason for you to have a job. So you will have to take a pay cut. So now female employees are going to have to take a pay cut. And I'm sure they're not going to be happy about that. They're going to be very upset when this kicks in or the reality sets in. But now let's go ahead and get back onto this whole idea of free contraception. This is what's going to happen. Alright, now first of all, if something is free, or at least if it's free in the mind of the person buying it, what do you think's going to happen? You think they're going to buy the cheap shit, or they're going to buy the top of the line shit? They're going to buy the top of the line best product because it's free. They don't care. They might have bought the cheaper stuff back in the day, you know, when they were concerned about the price. Now they're going to be buying the more expensive stuff. And the price of these items are going to increase because the demand will still be there. If they raise the prices, they'll have plenty of demand because although someone's paying for it, your idea is that it's free. So who cares, right? Like, who cares? Buy the best stuff. And this is going to be interesting. I wonder if they're going to put a limit to this, like how much birth control you can buy or how many condoms you can buy. You got to remember, contraception, although this is for females, it doesn't say birth control, you know, things like that that are female only. It says contraception. So that could mean condoms. Females can buy condoms. And if, you know, you have a girlfriend, guys, and she's going to get health insurance, have her buy you 10,000 condoms. Get a lifetime supply of of condoms. 10,000, that might be a little much. I mean, that's a lot of sex. But, you know, fuck it. Open up a store online. Sell it to people. And there will be scams like this. I promise you. Like, you could totally do this, at least in the beginning. You buy a whole bunch of birth control, a whole bunch of contraceptions, condoms, whatever, and then you can sell them online to people from different countries who don't have it free. And guess what? You'll make some money. Because you didn't pay for it, right? You make money off of that. So they're going to have to limit how much you can buy, because if people can do what I'm talking about, which I'm not even sure if they can or not, but, you know, if they limit it, like, that's kind of weird too, right? If they say, you know, you can only have this many condoms. It's like, well, that's not right. What if, what if the young lady is, you know, going out and doing her thing? I won't judge her personally, but that's what I'm saying. Like, we need to make sure she's protected, right? So things like this, you have to understand, like, this is gonna cause the price to dramatically increase. There's going to be a lot of demand, and no one's going to care about the price. And because no one's going to care, the contraception companies can now raise their prices to skyrocket, man. It's going to go up so much. So, remember how I said that since the employer is going to have to pay for this? Well, the employer is going to have to pay a lot for this. So that means that that female worker might have to take a big time pay cut. And I'm sure that no one's going to like that. So, it's going to be interesting to see this unfold. But I promise you, contraception, that's really going to go up in price. And you can basically take that idea and apply it to a dozen of other things that will also increase in price because they're free now, Woo, it's free. Get the best quality stuff. You don't need to get the cheap stuff anymore. The cheap stuff doesn't need to be around. Let's buy the best quality stuff, jack up the price. Demand is still there, but it's free. So now the companies can charge as much as they want. And they will. And you'll see. So, like I said, should be very interesting. Obamacare, I don't think is going to last. Give it a couple years or a year or maybe even sooner than that. You'll see those bailouts hit. And what I'm interested in is that once these companies start to get bailed out, how long will that last? Because eventually, people are going to get fed up with that. They're going to say, yo, I don't like this. Insurance companies, fuck them. I don't want them getting bailed out. I don't want my tax dollars going to that. And if people demand to get rid of the bailouts, they probably will have to. If there's no bailouts, then the premiums are going to go way up. And everyone's going to have to pay way more. Everyone's going to get rid of the insurance plans. The whole system will collapse. And that means all the insurance companies are going out of business. And if there's no insurance companies, right? No health insurance companies at all. What do you think is going to happen? I personally think that that is going to usher in socialized medicine. And it sounds almost like a conspiracy, but I believe that that could have been the intention all along. Was let's design this plan that won't work. The only way it can work is with bailouts. But once those bailouts won't happen anymore because people are fed up, then all the health insurance companies are going out of business. If they all go out of business, we have to have socialized medicine. We have to. There's no other option. So I think that's where we're headed. I think Obamacare is just a way of ushering us into this socialized medicine, which, like I said, I'm not opposed to. I'd rather have that than to have what we have now with Obamacare. And I would also rather have that than what we had before. Because I didn't like what we had before either. But personally, I think a free market approach would still be better. I think that it would be more affordable because competition will always bring prices down. Competition is super, super important when it comes to pricing something. That's the free market at work. And I love capitalism.